What's going on, everybody? Christian here, bringing you guys the long-awaited for 3D Spinning Emblem tutorial. Woohoo, right? Alright, so the reason I didn't upload these yesterday like I originally intended was because I literally did the entire tutorial and for some reason Camtasia didn't record my voice. Now if you look at it now, we can see the little bar going from green to yellow and occasionally red if I do something loud, but I'm not going to intentionally do anything loud for you guys. Instead I'll get softer without even thinking about it. But what we're going to do is we're going to make these 3D spinning emblem like we've seen in my masterpiece montage here. And we're not going to use the bird. The bird is too complex, I think, for what we're trying to accomplish, because there's a lot of NURBs that are done. I think there's like 70 or 80 different NURBs we had to do. So we're not going to do that particular one. Instead, what we're going to do is the DC logo. It's really simple. Of course, I don't claim any rights, blah 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 blah. So anyway, we're going to be using 3 programs today. One is Photoshop, the other is Cinema 4D, and the other one is After Effects. You don't have to use After Effects. You can use a different sort of video, what's the word, sequencer, but this is the best one that I have. So first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to open up Photoshop, and I already have the picture opened here. And first thing we want to do is control click on the icon. Actually, I take that back. We don't want to do that. What we want to do is we want to get our magic wand tool and kind of just delete all the white areas, or delete the areas we don't want to outline, which for me is most of this white area. And now what I'm going to do is I'm going to get the other tool, and I'm actually going to get rid of the text as well, because I don't want the text. I just want the actual logo itself. So, ta-da! Alright, cool. So now we just have DC. Now we're going to control click on that, putting marching ants around that logo, and go over here to the paths button. Now there's going to be a little drop down thing here, if I can find it. My mouse doesn't really work on this TV. Okay, and we're going to make a work path. Now I make it trim to about 0.5 pixels. 0.5 pixels. I apologize for the phone ringing. And that's going to put a nice little trace around our object. And now, if y'all know a better way to make paths, let me know, but this is the best way that I've seen. So once we've done that, what we want to do is go File, Export, and then Paths to Illustrator. Now don't worry, you don't need Illustrator for this. You just it's just a program that needs to happen for the Cinema 4D file. So it's going to say Path, Work Path, hit OK. What we're going to do is we're going to name it Google.ai, and then it's going to save. Now what we can do, we're done with Photoshop now. So I'm actually going to try to close it here. No, I do not wish to save. So we're going to open up Cinema 4D now, and we're actually going to open our picture. Maybe, if it'll open. Okay, so we're going to search Google.ai. It's going to be an AI, not artificial intelligence, but Adobe Illustrator. And we can see we have it here. It's just there chilling. Looks pretty good. Now if we look, it should be 2 different splines. Yeah, or 2 different paths. So what we're actually going to do is we're going to connect those. If you click one and then hold Control and then click the other one, select both of them, you want to come down here to connect. Right click and go to connect, making them one spline. And then what we can actually do is just delete the one underneath it, having just the one. So after that, we want to get a extrude NURBS from the... Uh-oh. I apologize for that. That was my alarm going off for some reason. Anyway. Oh, that was awful. That was not very professional at all. So, alright, back on track, back to life. Alright, we have our extrude NURBS here. We want to drop the path into the extrude NURBS, giving it, you know, this sort of plate-looking idea. And on our NURBS, we're going to make it extrude about 30 M's. I don't know if 30 means meter, but or millimeter or whatever. But alright, now we're going to make a quick material, just something real simple that'll give it some characteristic. So I'm going to make it blue, and for the texture we're going to add what's called a Fresnel. Fresnels are really cool if it'll load up. There should be a little drop down bar, and it's not responding. That's great, so I'll hit you guys up when it's responding. Alrighty then, so here we are. Sorry about that. I don't know why it doesn't respond every once in a while. But we add the Fresnel. It gives our thing a nice blue color. So now what we're going to do is going to come out and drop it onto it. And if we just do a quick render, you see it's just this blue brick basically. Alright, so after that what we want to do is make a circle. and we're going to go ahead and make the radius of this circle about 300. We're going to zoom out a little bit, and we're going to get our rotating tool, and we want to rotate it 90 degrees to where it's on its side, like that. We'll get this tool back out, and now I'm going to go out of the perspective view and go into this view to where I can line it up perfectly with it. Now I wanted to get the circle in the middle of the actual thing, the actual emblem, or at least as close as possible. So, excuse me, because we're gonna have the camera going in a circle around the emblem. So that looks pretty nice. Alright, so the reason I put the circle here is because we cannot. I've tried so many different ways. We cannot get the actual emblem to spin. The NURBS will not allow it. So what I've devised is if we create a camera to move on a circle, that will work. So we have our circle. Next thing we want to do is make a camera. Just make a simple camera. What we're going to do is we're going to take our perspective view and go cameras, scene cameras, and to the camera. That way it's looking at it. And our next step here is to get the camera in line with the circle, like get it on the circle. So I'm just going to do some quick little rotatingness, and we're going to move it a little bit closer to the circle. Go right there, move it down a bit. Alright, that'll work. Now also what I want to do is zoom out on this one and see that field of view, how big it is. No, we don't want it that big. We want it, or at least we want it wider. So we're just going to say about right there. And actually what I'm going to do is move the camera. That's one of my favorite things about Cinema 4D is all the different camera angles you can get. So we're also just going to kind of move it to where it's right about there. That works. Alright, so as we can see, actually no, we need to move it a little bit more to the right. Okay, that'll work. That's what we want. Alright, so now what we do, now that the camera's all lined up, that was probably the hardest part of this whole tutorial, believe it or not. We're going to parent the camera to the circle, or as where the circle is a child. Now, this is very important. Let's make this whole thing about 130 frames and kind of just extend it. Next thing is we want to hit the rotation, or R, on the keypad for the circle, and keyframe it at here, which I just did. Now we're going to go to frame 130 and rotate it. I'll just say this way. You know what, I take that back. Don't use that one. Use this one. We're going to rotate it about just 360 degrees. If you hold shift, it locks it in place, and then we're going to hit a keyframe again, so that way if we scroll through it we can see it goes in a complete circle. It's that easy. Now there's only one other thing I'm going to do, is I'm going to add a sky to the scene. So whoops, this makes it look pretty good. Alright, after that what we want to do is go to our render settings. This part's very important as well, seeing how it's what we're going to use to get into After Effects. I take that back. Don't do that. What we're going to do, don't do that yet. We're going to add tags to this stuff so After Effects knows what it's working with. We're just going to go to Cinema 4D tags, compositing. Cinema 4D tags, composite. Just put a compositing tag on all these. I'm not really sure if this does anything, but it makes me feel better, so I suggest you doing it as well. Alright, so once we have the tags, what we want to do is we go to our render settings. We can leave the general as that, but here I always like to make mine 1280 by 720, and we're going to go from frame 0 to frame 130 at 30 frames per second. That sounds good to me. What we're going to do is we're going to save the path to, as you can see, I've already done a test one here yesterday. What we're going to do is we're going to save it as DC, and it'll probably ask me if I want to override it. Now we have to have an alpha channel and a compositing project file for After Effects, and that's pretty much all we got to do. Now we can hit X, and one quick thing I want to do is I want to make sure like it doesn't go off the screen. Looks like it does a little bit. So what we're going to do is we are actually going to take the camera right here, and we're going to back it up on the Z-axis a little bit. So oh yeah, that's pretty perfect. Alright, so once you do that, what you can do is hit this render out button, and it's going to start the render, and yes, I'm going to replace those, and I'll hit you guys up when it is done rendering. Okay, so our thing has finished, and what we're going to do is we can close Cinema 4D now, and I'm not going to save it just because I don't need to, and voila, we're in After Effects now. So that's great. What we want to do is we want to import that folder. Now, I should have told you this before, but make a folder. Oh man, this is going to be way out of order. What you want to do is you want to make a folder and just name it whatever, to something to save your files to. I should have said that before. I really apologize. I'm actually going to import that folder into After Effects. Hopefully this goes quickly. It probably won't. So as you can see, it's not responding. So once again, I'll hit you guys up when it is responding. Alright, it's all good. So if we look in the folder, you can see we have a bunch of pictures. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna click the first one. We're gonna go down to the very last one and hold Shift and click it, and we're just gonna go ahead and drag it into its own comp. And we're gonna make the sequence 0.1. Make sure sequence layers is checked and single comp, and hit OK. Now, as you can see, if we scrub through it, we have perhaps our thing. Here, I'm going to set the quality to quarter. That way it should go pretty easily. Yeah, as you can see, it just goes in the circle, which is what we want. So what I'm actually going to do now is I'm going to take this and I'm going to drag it in here. And right now it's going to be at the top just because that's how the cake is working. I'm going to expand it a little bit. And this is a really cool thing. I'm going to bring it all the way down to the bottom. You know what? Hold on. I'm going to put it there. Drag this way up here. This will just make it go a little bit faster, hopefully. I guess not. But in the meantime, what it's going to do is, since we created that alpha channel in Cinema 4D, what's going to happen is the black that we saw next to the blue is actually going to be somewhat invisible. See? Hold on, let me drag this back down. If we look here, we can see it's right over top of our video. So that's the alpha channel. Anything that's black or white or one or the other is not going to show. So that's really it. Now what you can do is you can hit down here, if you hit Control A and then get this one out of there, you have all the other ones. What you could do is you could shrink them to about this big and put them all up in the corner or something, and that way throughout the entire animation you have the spinning thing up there. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to end this tutorial. I appreciate you guys watching very, very much. I'm going to render this out, and this is going to be at the end of the video, so which will be here in a few seconds. So I appreciate you guys watching, and I'll see you guys on the flip side.